Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight. We're Lia, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi there.
you just leave that because that sums up where I'm at right now. I'm just staring into the abyss.
Thinking about buying Halloween candy.
Oh my God, I do.
Just so y'all know, we're recording this on October 30th, and Leah has to run and get Halloween candy on the way home tonight.
I am genuinely surprised everyone else is like, oh, I got mine weeks ago. I'm like, well, isn't everyone's better?
I have gotten it the day before. I have gotten it the day before Halloween before, but I usually don't. It's just when I forget.
Today's a few years.
Tomorrow morning.
Okay, I want to know, this is not K-drama related, but I want to know if I can ask you guys some medical advice.
Because we are qualified.
Definitely in public. I hope it's uncomfortable.
Well, I am uncomfortable right now. So I hosted my local book club on Monday night. I did not read the book, so don't ask me what it was. I wasn't interested in the book, but I was interested in being the host. I agreed to host before I knew what the book was, and I was like, oh, I don't want to read it. Anyway, I have not had people at my house, like a big group of people at my house in a long time. So I was cleaning. I wasn't just straightening up. I was cleaning. I'm like, I don't want people walking in and thinking that I live like the hobgoblin that I normally do. And I was cleaning the windows in the kitchen where my cats are always pressing their noses against it and stuff. So it needed some good cleaning. And as I'm running my hand along the windowsill, there is a little bit of chipped paint and I got a splinter.
I was wondering what that was on your finger.
It's just a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
But I cannot get it out. It's been here since Monday.
How bad of a splinter?
It's really little, but it's all the way under. Okay. And it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt that bad, but I'm keeping it covered because I'm trying to do some things. So I have drawing salve and I'm putting all this shit on it and stuff because I can't get it. And I'm hoping by the time you hear this that it's out.
Yeah.
But nobody at me and tell me to sterilize a needle. I can't do that. I can't. I've been trying with the tweezers, whatever. I've been going on Reddit threads, whatever. And I'm like, what I really want to know is, am I going to have to get the tip of my finger amputated?
I'm sorry to laugh.
If I wait too long.
Okay.
I just live with a splinter.
Do you have lead paint?
Right.
What's your house built?
My house was built before I was born, but we repainted when we got here. So it's not lead paint, but it's not, it's a total tiny piece of dark wood.
Okay. It's the wood.
Yeah. It's wood.
So is it looking infected?
No.
Right.
No, you're fine.
It's not. So,
out. You can't.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, that's so. What I've been So here's what I've been reading is that your skin, your body will eventually push it out.
Yeah, your body. I was just gonna say that your body, I think, will eventually reject it. Or do I know for sure? No.
No. Right. I've never had one that just stayed. I was Googling all this stuff. And so I ordered from Amazon because I need to not ever have to go out to the store except for when I buy Halloween candy. I ordered wart Band-Aids because I'm can I put wart solution on and that will dissolve the skin, then it'll come out. Mm-hmm. And Google AI says, yes, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Google AI.
Yeah.
The doctor Google AI.
Dr. Google. But then I'm going down all these rabbit holes, but then I'm reading, I've knock on wood, I've never had a wart. So I'm what's even in wart Band-Aids? And it's just salicylic acid.
Oh,
I was wait, so you're telling me I could have been using cheaper wart Band-Aids as pimple patches?
Right.
Instead of paying $10 for 8 pimple patches?
Right.
Anyway, so yeah, basically my son, because I asked him, I'm Connor, can you get it out? He's I can't. He's he tried because I'm it's really little, my old 50-year-old eyes can't see it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying and I'm picking at it. I was using a nail file and trying to file my skin down to get to it. Then I'm pushing it further in. So yeah, long story long is I just keep putting my drawing salve on it and putting a Band-Aid over it.
I think that's the best. I'm always
When
of
you're
the belief
saying a drawing salve, what are you using as your salve?
Prid.
Oh, have you done baking soda? Baking soda is like the thing I always have been told.
No, tell me your solutions to this so I don't have to be in it, like lose the tip of my finger.
Make a, here, let me just you're going to wash your hands. You're going to make a paste with like half a teaspoon of baking soda and water. You're going to put the paste on your splinter, cover it with a bandage, and leave it for 24 hours.
Okay.
And then when you're done, you should be able to just tweeze it right out.
Okay.
Never heard that.
It moves the splinter closer to the skin.
You've done this before?
Yeah, or you can soak it for a few days. Just every night, just soak it in like a baking soda mixture. But I would just make a little salve and wrap it up.
That's what I'll do after we get off tonight. Thank you,
All right.
Dr. Leah.
Look at that.
You are welcome. Look at this. When the apocalypse comes,
I already said I'm coming to you.
Good.
I'm gonna bring the falafel for the apocalypse.
The dill pickle falafel.
The dill pickle falafel, because of course my hyperfixation is over, and I still have like 20 bags.
And now you're like, God damn it! What am I going to do with all these dill pickles?
No, I'll eat it eventually, but like I just don't crave it like I did before because now it's not scarce. So,
I feel the same way with the Trader Joe's kimbap. I was like obsessed with it when they didn't have it, and then they started stocking it regularly, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
Oh, well,
so you're not
the medical advice.
I don't know, for some reason I just think that you're gonna it's gonna be like The Last of Us, and you're gonna start sprouting fungus from your finger, and the cordyceps will take over your brain.
Cordyceps in my finger.
I know, but that's just what I thought.
I wish it was. I wish you did have a gooey finger.
Amazing.
What if it was? Well, no. I'm going to start getting into like other books. I'm going to get into like Mexican Gothic and be like, what if it was Mexican Gothic type mushrooms?
Oh,
but yeah,
God, I love Mexican Gothic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
remember how we used to do book recs? I'd be curious. Do people want book recs again or no? We
have been infusing them though. Like when it,
I feel like we have
when it fits, and I feel like it's better when it's organic than for us to try. Like to add it into the script and be like, do you have a book rec that goes with this drama? Because if I don't, then I feel like I'm going to force it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so I like that it's been coming up organically. But like, please tell us if you want more book recs, because we would love to give them to you. But
or even if you're if you want to know what we're currently reading, we could always do that. Let us know if that's something you're interested in.
Because I'm always reading something. Always.
Well, you're listening to something.
That's still reading.
I know it is, but I just I know. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it in that way. I was just saying.
Because I have a brand new Audible First or Audible Plus book coming out in 2 weeks.
You do?
I think our books release on the same day.
No, you release on Tuesday. I release on Thursday.
Oh, we should cross promo and do something. Do you know what we should do? We should do an Instagram live. Because we have not done this, where we take over the Instagram account and do like a promo night with the night your book releases. Let's do it on November 14th. Will this pod be out? Or am I promoting something that will have been done?
This pod will probably be out on the 13th.
Okay. So everyone who is listening, tomorrow night, Amy and I'm going to put it on my calendar. We're going to do an Instagram takeover. Let's pick the time so we can announce it here. This very well thought out plan that we are going to be doing.
It's a great plan.
And you can moderate online, Megan. You can be
sure
as well.
Yeah, I can be in the comments making sure everyone is behaved. No, I'm just kidding.
And you have to post questions because maybe very few people will come. The thing about Instagram lives that I like are that, let's say, no one really comes or two people come, which that's two people better than none. We can record it and then it lives in perpetuity. It can live on the Instagram, so you can watch it at another time.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's talk timing offline, because we will post it then. We'll post that it's coming, because if we say a time right now when we might change it, I want it to be in writing. And
well, at the time of listening, go look on our Instagram and we'll have advertised it.
Yes, that's what I mean. Let's do that. Yep.
I love that.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. Because then we can discuss.
So let's get into it because I've got some Halloween candy to buy and I don't want to be fighting the other procrastinators for the last bag of.
Yeah, go trick or treat at Leah's house and you'll get a handful of loose candy corn.
It's going to be like all dum-dums.
What's the name of the kind that like, do they still make this? This was like the one, like, yeah, let's roll into this with.
What's the worst candy?
Got pissed off getting. And the one I hated getting when I was little, they came in either orange or black wrappers and they had like a peanut butter flavor to them.
Oh, I liked those.
Oh,
because they were peanut butter. They were like almost like they were like almost like they were chewy. Like they're not great, but I didn't hate them.
But what's the name? Like I never even.
I don't know. They were.
I don't know, but that's pretty. I know what you mean, though.
They were like Brock's, I think.
And then, okay, what was the worst? And then I'm going to say the best. The place that killed it for me every year. It's so funny, but this was like the money. Like I would be like, we must go to this neighborhood to get the fucking money, and it was a place that gave out coupons to get a soft serve at McDonald's. And I was like, I would get that and be like, I won the goddamn lottery.
Oh my God.
Dude, that's awesome.
To get my soft serve swirl at a McDonald's.
So what I think is funny, because I've mentioned to you, I don't think it was on the pod, but I've mentioned to you, Leah, what I think is the worst candy, and my kids agreed. And you were like, no, my kids love it. And then you came back and you were like, I stand corrected. They do not love it. And that is Almond Joy.
Yeah, that's the worst to me. Almond Joy is the worst.
That's in my top 3.
I know you love it. We've talked about this before, and
yes.
I'm always flabbergasted that Almond Joy is your favorite. It's my least. I don't really. Isn't that the one with coconut in it?
Coconut and almonds, and I like.
I don't like coconut.
Yeah.
So.
No,
and I don't like nuts in anything. Like I don't like nuts in any desserts except for Almond Joys.
Wow.
No. Coconut for me is a texture thing. Like I don't dislike the flavor of coconut. I just like the crunchy shreds.
See, I like the crunch. Like to me, that gives me something to do as I'm eating.
You're chewing it like cud.
It's so gross. It's like tendony. That's what it's like to me.
Tendony?
Yeah.
That's so gross.
No, it's like eating tiny little like maggot casings.
little shreds of tendon.
Oh, Jesus. I'm still going to like it. You can't destroy it for me.
My favorite.
I was going to say I have no one going trick-or-treating this year, so I don't have to worry about the Almond Joys, but it also means I don't get the Butterfingers, Megan.
Right. See?
I don't. And my kids don't like peanut butter or like, they don't like peanut butter, which I guess is Butterfinger. And so I would get all the Reese's too.
Yeah, I want, my favorite are Butterfinger and the full size Reese's peanut butter cups. I don't really like the minis as much. I like the full size.
Oh, I like the minis. I think it's
Reese's
a good chocolate to peanut butter ratio in the minis.
I don't know. I think I like more peanut butter, but those are my favorite. And then Almond Joys are my least favorite. Or like a Dum Dum. Or also Tootsie Rolls. Not a big fan of Tootsie Rolls.
I do like Tootsie Rolls.
I like a Tootsie Roll too. Dum Dums. That just reminds me of going to the bank when I was little.
Yes, the bank. Absolutely.
My grocery store still gives my kids Dum Dums. Like we go. And I'm like, do you want to? And of course, like my son, I think is over it. My daughter's still like, yeah, do you have cotton candy? It's her favorite Dum Dum. Okay, so let's
segue.
I don't have a segue.
You know what's like candy? You know what's as good as candy?
This drama.
Watching a favorite drama again.
So recently I came across an article by the author of the Tropetastic series. Her name is Jennifer Hilt. And it was making the rounds on my like author Facebook pages. Like a bunch of authors were sharing it. So the article is titled Fourth Wing Fantasy, Tropes in the First 3 Pages. Fourth Wing is a fantasy series by Rebecca Yarros. If you haven't read it, you've probably seen it. It's everywhere. And if you'd like to read the article for yourself, I'm going to link it in the show notes so you guys can check it out. But in summary, in the article, Jennifer Hilt reads the first 3 pages of Fourth Wing and identifies all the tropes, of which she finds 11, as well as the character goals. And it's a fun exercise, at least to writers like us. And so we thought it would be fun to translate that into K-dramas. So obviously the first 3 pages is a hard equivalent to a screen adaptation, mainly because, in something that you watch on the screen, you're not able to read backstory or exposition like in a novel. I mean, that's how you're able to pack so many tropes into 3 pages, because you're getting exposition, things like that, which you can't obviously get in a K-drama. So we decided we're going to analyze the first episode. And we do intend on this being a series where we will take a drama, watch the first episode, and then kind of pick it apart. So pick out the tropes, the character goals, motivations, conflicts, all that good stuff. So my pick of a drama was first. And what did I choose? This should come as no surprise to like literally anyone. But my drama of choice for a first episode dissection is I Am Not a Robot. And look, if you're tired of me talking about this drama, I'm sorry. But I'm also not sorry. I'm not sorry because I'll never stop, because this drama is truly that good. I'm sorry. It just is. And I wanted to choose a drama that the 3 of us have watched, and also a drama that a lot of our listeners have watched as well, mostly because we talk about it all the time. Because it's really fun to learn that there are good reasons why we love something, like it feels like validation, like, oh, I love that thing and I loved it because of all these reasons why it's good. You know what I mean? So the 3 of us watched the first episode of I Am Not a Robot, so we can discuss all the tropes shown to the audience to hook them into the drama. So we really hope you like this. And if there's a drama that you really want us to do this for, like if you know of a drama that you're like, oh my gosh, the first episode was gangbusters, I'd love to hear Megan, Amy, and Leah talk about it, then please let us know. So first of all, let's give a quick logline for I'm Not a Robot, which I wrote. I feel like this was really hard. I think it's very hard to write a logline.
I thought you did a great job.
I did. Okay. So this was my logline. A lonely chaebol with a touch allergy forms a connection with a robot who looks exactly like a human because she is. And when the truth comes out, the betrayal could kill him. So Amy and Leah, what do you think about this logline, and like how many tropes can you identify in this logline? Which I'm looking, Amy, and holy crap, you got like a whole bunch in here. Just from that logline. I'm impressed.
I did my homework.
You did.
So here's what I love. First of all, I didn't realize you wrote the logline. I was wondering if you wrote it or if you got it from somewhere, but I said it was great nonetheless. So
okay.
Because like the thing about a logline is you want to be able to hook. If it's a book, you want to hook the reader, you want to hook the viewer with that quick elevator pitch, right? Mm-hmm. And if you can pack as many tropes into it as possible, then you're going to do that. And the tropes should also outline the stakes. And that's what I think is like one of the most important things of hooking somebody to read a book or watch a drama. It's that, it's the logline, it's the back cover copy of a book. If nothing is at stake, then why do I care? And you let me know all of the things at stake here. So yeah, loneliness, chaebol, all right, that's a trope. Isolation, forbidden romance, life or death, lies and deception, secret identity, danger. Well, okay, so the secret identity, I think, because I know more. Like I know it's a person pretending to be a robot.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like dangerous truth, fish out of water, fake relationship, and a fake relationship in a different kind of way too, mm-hmm. which I think I like that it's like a twist on the fake relationship because he doesn't know that he doesn't know what she is. And so it makes their relationship fraudulent, basically.
True. Yeah, it's true.
So it's a lot.
Did you have rich and poor in there?
Oh, no, that's good.
Oh, you're right. Because I felt like I needed to get the chaebol in there, but you're right that it is the rich and poor thing. Yeah.
So I think that, and then the other one that was that, because Amy did like all of them basically, but the other one is the only you. Basically, I think the logline implies like only she is different.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I didn't see like already. I was like, I was like, watch the first episode. I'm trying to pick out all the tropes, but that's why we need 3 heads better than 1, because even I forgot about the only you one, because that actually is one of the strongest tropes in this. drama. So I didn't
that.
ask this in the script because obviously we always write scripts, and we have all seen this drama from beginning to end. We all know it. We all like it. I'm curious, what did you feel watching the first episode again? Like, was it like nostalgic? Did you enjoy it?
That was the word, nostalgic, like so nostalgic. And like immediately the intense like love for this drama like totally came back. And I was like, because I worked from home today, so I watched it while I was having my coffee this morning. And I was like, I could just sit here all day and just watch this drama.
I know.
And be the happiest person in the world.
Yeah.
A lot of rewatches for me end up being more misses than hits. Like I feel like I enjoy it the first time. I mean, there's things I've watched 10,000 times, like His Beautiful Man, that I'm just going to like watch forever and love. But, you know, like there are some like Chloe, for example, where I enjoyed it the second time, but I was like, oh, I feel like the magic, or the third time, I think. But I was like, oh, I feel like the magic is kind of gone a little bit for me, and more just that was not the case here. How did I feel? I think today how I felt, because I watched it this morning, was in a good way, envy, but like motivating envy. And I think I texted with you a little bit about it, Megan, because we were talking about something else. And I just had to bring it up because I think in watching it, it made me be like, I want to write a book right now. And I want to think about all the things that this drama does smart right out of the gate. It like motivate, you know, like when you do when you're around something really good and it's like, I want to, now I'm motivated. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I also feel envy especially this first episode. It was funny because I watched it like a few days ago and then obviously did the script and stuff. And I think I messaged both of you guys in our Slack and I was like, this episode is like nothing is wasted. Like every scene matters. Like little bits of dialogue matter. And I only know because, or we know because we know what happens. But that's actually one thing that I've watched this. This would be my third time if I watched it the whole way through. But there are things that I don't remember from my previous two watches that I picked up that happened in this first episode, like lots of foreshadowing. And it was the same way. It made me like jealous that to write something that's strong out of the gate is wild.
So one of the things that my kids hate is that I spoil movies that I've never seen because of like knowing how story works, knowing like the framework of a story. And that's another thing that I love in rewatching just this first episode is that very first scene, knowing that that's that's one of the bookends of the story and how well that's done and where this is, how it started and how it's going, like kind of thing. And I love knowing that closure, what that closure at the end is going to be and how it gets there.
It's so good. Let's take the first scene of the episode. A man in a very fancy car parks in a garage. He opens a case and pulls out black gloves and a mask and puts them on. Next, he fills a syringe and puts it in his pocket before he grabs a baton and steps out of the car. This is the hero of I Am Not a Robot, Kim Min-kyu, played by Yoo Sung-ho. We are then shown the same man sitting in a chair in front of a table of doctors in white coats. They ask him to remove his hat and gloves. Their irritation is apparent immediately. They read his chart where he's asking for a military enlistment exemption because of a human allergy illness. They mock him a little. They say that there's no actual diagnosis and they've never heard of this before. They say they've heard of many illnesses used as an exemption excuse, but never this one. They're about to deny his request when he stands up, takes off his button-down shirt, and it leaves him in like a black tank top. God, and he looks very good.
So good.
He does. He looks fantastic.
He approaches the table while the doctors panic. With his bare hand, he grabs the bare wrist of another doctor. When he does, his skin begins to erupt in livid red hives. His breathing grows labored. The doctors are shouting in alarm. He finally lets go and slams the previously filled syringe into his arm. He then explains that his allergy is very real. The allergy increases in reaction the longer the touch lasts. Lastly, he tells them he needs the shot to calm the reaction, but it's not contagious. So the scene is 3 minutes long. And I know we talked about this episode in a podcast episode on memorable first scenes, but let's talk about the tropes they give us. Touch phobia, chaebol hero, tortured hero. Any others? How effective is this first scene?
I remember talking about this opening scene, and I love it so much. Him in the sports car preparing to do whatever he's going to do amps up the anticipation and like the mystery of it. Like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, who is this guy? Is he a criminal about to commit a crime? Because like it looks like he's getting ready to go, do some bad stuff. And what I love about this is we immediately know that Kim In-kyu is not someone to be trifled with. His condition doesn't make him weak. On the contrary, it makes him super powerful. So we get to add powerful hero to the list of tropes, where his condition could have made him very sort of weak or meek. And instead, he kind of flips that around. He's also a risk taker. So add that to the list. He literally risks his life in order to prove that he cannot serve in the military.
I do love this opening scene. And when I watched it, I was so surprised it was only 3 minutes. The first 3 minutes, and you get that kind of like pulse pounding scene. That's just impressive to me. And you're right, it does show that he's powerful. I think that is something they drill in the first episode kind of a lot. They want you to know that he's powerful. He's not weak. Sometimes to a degree, he has like an inflated sense, I think, maybe a little bit. But
well, yeah, I was going to say, I think he kind of uses his power as a shield.
I was
basically
just going to say that. Yeah, he definitely does.
Throughout the first episode, we get to know more about Kim In-kyu. In the absence of human interaction, he's very attached to the technology in his house. He throws a birthday party for his robot vacuum. He even gives it a cake, a hat, balloons, and gives it a gift of new batteries. He stares at it fondly and calls it cute. He watches a romantic movie, and even though in his voiceover he insists he's not lonely, he almost acts out a kissing fantasy with his pillow. To his doctor, he expresses desire to date and marry, but he doesn't think there's a woman out there who would put up with his touch phobia. We also learn that he's rather ruthless. When he shows up to the company, KM Financial, his company, the employees all have to hide from him so he doesn't come in contact with them. When he does see one wayward employee, he immediately calls for that employee's pay to be cut. They call him Baton because he always carries one. He's a successful chairman of his own business. He's rich. He has everything he can want, except for what he doesn't. And there in the first episode is where we get the core of his goal, motivation, and conflict, or GMC for short, which we'll continue to use throughout the pod. He desires human touch as a goal. His motivation is that he's lonely, and the conflict is that, well, he can't be around humans. I love it. I mean, that's so good.
Yes.
You have to have a good enough conflict that makes you think the character's never going to get what they want. And that's so good.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the setup of this GMC? And do you think it's clear in episode 1?
One thing too about his GMC, I think at the beginning, he does express interest in like finding a cure for what's wrong. Not even a cure. I don't think he thinks there's a cure. In the first episode, I think he wants to learn more and he'd like a diagnosis, but I don't think solving his touch phobia is something in his realm of like reality. Like, I don't think he thinks that will ever happen. And so I did want to mention what's interesting in the Jennifer Hilt article is that she says, because she wrote like books on this. Okay. So, she's very big on having goals that are meaningful and measurable. Those are her 2 words that she bolds and italicizes in this article. And I feel like that's incredibly meaningful. He wants a life with someone else. He wants a companion. He doesn't even really have friends. And so obviously it's an incredibly meaningful goal. And it's also measurable. Like the guy just wants to go out on a date at least. Like that's like the low bar.
Look, I'm just going to say I was so impressed with the article that she wrote about Fourth Wing that I bought her romance trope thesaurus. So
yeah,
I'll let y'all know how that is. And we'll link her writing thesaurus, her trope thesaurus books in the show notes too, because they look pretty fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, did you think that was like set up? Like, I guess it's funny because like we know from watching the whole drama, but do you think it was set up well in the first episode? I guess.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's like interesting is that sometimes when a premise feels so set up, I feel like I'm like, I know exactly where this is all going to go. Like sometimes when I feel like, yeah, so it's like a catch-22. Like I know I don't want like a hot mess episode, but in this one I feel like it does like it just like incepts everything really well. And so there's a lot of good foreshadowing in it. There is a lot of good there's a lot of good small details that are just going to be more important later. And so yeah, I like all of that too. And even though like you kind of know where some of it's going to go because look, we just have like brains and we can tell where like we don't need to have everything be like a shocking surprise, but we like we know that like the touch is going to be an issue and blah 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 blah. But like the small details are fun too. Like I do like I'm going to talk on two. One that I really like is the fact that they went with the military enlistment part, because I think that from what we understand of Korean culture better now, there is a lot of, you can see how, and I'm not going to like pass judgment on this or not, or like whatever, but that it's seen as like a rite of manhood for many people. And so there's something that like you do this to like kind of journey from like boy to man. And so it's not that he's trying to get out of this. He cannot, but it shows kind of like there's like a shaming element. Like this touch is getting in the way of him even being seen as like a whole like man in society kind of.
Yeah.
What that must be feeling like, you know, just like the shame that you must be carrying from that. And then the other thing I liked was just, I really like that they just call him Baton, because it's just, nicknames are very hit or miss for me. I'm like not a huge nickname girly. Like I can do them sometimes and sometimes not, but this one just really, really worked for me. And I think it just like sums up so well. Just the fact that he like carries this stupid thing. It's so kind of like weird and quirky and like doesn't take itself seriously, but he takes it very seriously, which kind of sums up the drama. And the last is the Roomba. The Roomba kills me.
Love it.
Well, because you think it's just funny. The thing about the Roomba is that you think it's just a funny scene, but it's all setting up the fact of how much he loves technology, how much he kind of anthropomorphizes. Did I say that right?
I think so.
How he essentially humanizes technology. He does, because that's his companion. So that just feeds into what comes later. So I just think that whole scene, again, you think it's funny the first time you watch it, but there's like an actual reason to show him loving a robot vacuum as much as he does. And I also want to say too about the Baton nickname. I also think it's a good way to show how he's also othered completely by people. Definitely shows him as being seen as like an outcast, which, you know, he is. Next, we meet the heroine of I Am Not a Robot, Jo Gia, played by Shea Soo Bin. When we first meet Gia, she's sitting on the ground outside in a line of people. She's clearly comfortable. She has a blanket, and she's kind of just like eating food without a concern. She offers to hold a place in line for a high school student who needs to use the restroom. While in line, she reads reviews of her business, thanking her for delivering their products to them in great condition and as promised. And she's very proud of these reviews. Like you can tell she takes, she's very pleased that people appreciate her service. And when a man approaches asking her what the line is for, she explains that she's in line to get a special edition action figure for a client of hers and hands him her business card where she is CEO Jo and has a forwarding service business. So essentially she does the heavy lifting of waiting in line, getting a special edition product that a client pays her like a service fee for, and then she delivers that product. So when this man tries to cut in line, she is like not having it. And she tells him, look, I've failed a lot of businesses and all I have left is debt and a nasty temper. which I just love that about that she says that. So she cusses him out and kicks him out of line. It's also funny because like the whole line like cheers because they don't want him cutting either. So what do we learn about Gia from this scene in regards to like heroine traits or heroine tropes?
So what I really like is how confident she is, and obviously like doesn't take any shit. Not afraid of confrontation, both physical and verbal, because we see her, chew that guy out who tries to cut in line. And then when they let people into the store to get the action figure, he and like another guy try and like run in front of her, and she like grabs both of them by like the hair and the collar and throws them back. And she's the first one to get, to get the action figure and walk away unscathed. And what I like is we're already being set up because we already see that Kim Min-kyu is ruthless, right? With anybody who's not in his inner circle. So we already see that with her, he's going to meet his match. Mm-hmm. And I love that is established in her first like 5 minutes on screen.
Yeah, I think we know that she's like got a big mouth in a good way. And yeah, just being able to hold space for the girl who had to pee.
Yeah, when Leah and
her. She's a girl's girl.
Yeah, because when Leah and I were messaging today, she was like, I love that they also show her being kind. And I was like, that was her save the cat moment, basically. It was a very small moment, but that was basically just to show she's not like a jerk. She just, in a way, she's a little bit like Shin Min-na's character in No Gain, No Love. Like, she's not going to lose out. She's not going to lose out, and you're not going to take her place in line. She's there. She's holding it.
But if you're playing fairly, if you're playing the game fairly, she'll be kind to you like she was to that girl.
Yeah, she was. Exactly.
This is really all we get to know about Gia before the big meet cute. That isn't cute at all. And I'm not actually sure you can even call it a meeting. Gia just delivers the action figure to who else? Kim Min-kyu. He doesn't even get to see her face when she's wearing her motorbike helmet when she meets him at his car. Unbeknownst to her, the box is actually damaged. A kid swiped his ketchup-covered corn dog on it, and when Min-kyu discovers this, he refuses to pay her an additional fee. She accuses him of ripping her off, and he accuses her of lying. He says that he can forgive mistakes, but not lies. Foreshadowing? Maybe. They get in a fight, and although Gia is momentarily stunned by Min-kyu's handsome face, look, he is so, I forgot how handsome.
He's so good looking.
I also forgot how good looking he was until rewatching this first episode.
Like breathtakingly good looking.
It's true.
She quickly comes to her senses and fights him for her money. In the tussle, she touches his neck with her bare hand, and he begins to break out in hives. He manages to drive away and has to slam a syringe into his thigh to breathe again. However, they have each other's phone numbers, so their interaction doesn't end there. She still wants her money, and he thinks she tore his necklace off in their fight. Over the phone, he tells her he will sue her if she does not return the necklace, but she cusses him out in a way that he clearly isn't used to being treated. So, the romantic tropes we get in the scene: enemies to lovers, instant attraction, any good butter?
I think the best butter is that this is the romantic pairing, and you also know he cannot touch her. Like, that is established immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know if he touches her, he will break out in his deadly hives. And whether or not we like our K-dramas chaste or spicy, I think we all enjoy a bit of smooching, which we know that Kim Min-kyu cannot do based on him almost romancing a throw pillow. So I think this sets up really good conflict for the romance, that it's not just that it's enemies to lovers, but when we do get to that like possible to lovers part, what does that even mean? Because he can't have any sort of intimacy with her. Gosh, I freaking love the conflict in this so much. I really, really do.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. It's forbidden love too, which I didn't like. That's why I love discussing this, because forbidden love, duh. Like
it can't happen.
Like, I'm not saying you, like, if that's your choice, you do not have to be intimate with your partner or whatever, but he wants to.
He wants it. He loved that pillow. He loved that pillow.
That's the thing. They show this little scene. There's so many like things that I feel like they show that are funny, but in the grand scheme of things, we're watching that and we're taking in the information and we're almost like getting this exposition without realizing we're being spoon-fed exposition in a way. Like that montage of him where he's like, they have this like montage where they show him how he keeps himself busy alone in his house. He has a big card tower. He feeds his fish. He plays a video game. And you're like, oh, he's doing fine on his own. And then they show him watching this romantic movie and he's like
open mouth, leaning towards the pillow.
Leaning towards the pillow, like, oh my God, what would that feel like? And you also do get to know in the first episode that his doctor has been treating him for 15 years. You don't know how old he is, but you know it's probably been since he was a kid. I mean, you looking at him, it's probably been a long time. So he's probably never.
He's a virgin.
Yeah,
he's a virgin.
You know,
he's a virgin.
Thank you. I mean, at this point, you're like, oh my God, he's a virgin. Because he doesn't know what it's like to kiss anyone. I'm assuming he doesn't, you know, so that's another thing. We're getting like the virgin hero stuff, which is always fun.
The best.
Right? So we learn Gia's backstory in her interactions with her brother and her brother's family, whom she lives with. We also learn in episode 1 that her brother just started a new job and he's working directly with Kim Min-kyu. And I'll tell you, I forgot about this plotline. Totally forgot that her brother worked for Kim Min-kyu. I don't know.
I did too. I didn't realize it was her brother.
Yeah.
Because in his first scene, the brother's first scene, you don't know that there's relation. So like, no, there's so many connections between them. It's wild.
So many connections. So Gia is known for constantly starting businesses, many that fail. And again, we learn more later, but this is just from episode 1. She's in debt and doesn't have a steady job. But Gia has an invention that she thinks will win a contest that will net her a lot of money. I don't remember how much it was, but it was like kind of a lot. It's basically she has 2 like heart statues. And if you touch one, the other one's supposed to light up no matter where it is. It can be like, she said it could be like one's in Africa and one's in Korea. They should light up. Like that's her invention, which I think really exists, but
it does. Yeah,
it does. But go Gia. So the last straw from her brother, she just borrowed 10 million won from his wife to start this new project. And he's furious and he gives her an ultimatum. Well, she overhears him giving an ultimatum. She can't come home until she pays his family back. She's in desperate need of 10 million won. Gia has a short-term GMC and a long-term GMC based on the first episode. So short term, make 10 million won in order to pay back her brother. So she like has a place to sleep. That's important. The conflict, she has no job, no way to get 10 million won. And her long-term goal is to win the invention contest to make the big money. But the conflict is that her invention doesn't work yet because they do show a scene where it's just not working. So yeah, what do you think about her GMC setup?
First of all, before we talk about the GMC setup, because we've seen this drama, when I was reading about this scene and you talking about the contest, did either of you in your head, did you see her in her disguise at the contest?
Absolutely.
I almost not, actually.
Oh my God, I thought of it right away. I almost bought, I was going to look on Amazon and buy the costume and wear it today. Yeah, the whole glasses with like the stupid hanging mustache, which is still drives me insane because no reasonable person would show up.
And then didn't she also wear a wig?
Yeah, she wore this big curly wig.
So something that so this is a little short non sequitur, but this is what it makes me think of, is there was a fan meet, they were on stage, but they, hung with their fans. And I think it was like Taehyung and Jimin. And there was a fan who came and I think she it was kind of toxic, but I think she said something like she didn't want her husband to know that she was there. So she rented a full Bart Simpson costume, like an entire Bart Simpson costume. And she's just they let her on the stage. She's vibing, but she's in this huge head, the body, you would never, whoever she is, no clue.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it just made me think of that kind of just how funny these things are.
I That's like the one thing about this drama that will never cease to like not drive me crazy. Like I used too many double negatives there. Is that
It's
freaking costume?
It's wild.
You have to watch the drama. You'll know what we mean.
Yeah, you'll know.
But anyway.
So so as far as like the GMC and her setup and talking about how good K-dramas are at showing exposition and you not knowing that it's exposition, it was like so quickly established, like she needs money, she'll do anything for money, right? Mm-hmm. Which made me think about, because I also just recently watched the first episode of A Virtuous Business, which is current drama, airing on Netflix, about a group of women in the early 90s who start selling sex toys and lingerie to make money. And like, that's one of the biggest motivators, right? Money. And so you set up that your character needs money like now.
Yeah.
You know they're going to do anything to get it. Even if that means pretending to be a robot.
Yeah, they set her up as being desperate.
Yep.
Completely desperate. Like she needs that money right now. And I agree. Like, I like that they gave her this immediate need for money. Because like she has an overall goal. Okay.
Right.
It's not like her goal is just, I need to make quick money. Which I also like that they gave that even in the first episode, we see that she has a larger goal. She's not, I don't want to, it's okay if she's flighty, but she's not. She talks about how she has started and failed many businesses. So we know that about her. But yeah, I like that they gave us both of those things and why she would, as you said, a total cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs idea.
Oh yeah, I didn't say that part. Yeah. Well, because I don't want to give too much away, but like, it's why she would agree, like, not only agree to do this, but like the person who is the head of it all is her ex-boyfriend. And so to agree to do this crazy thing with her ex-boyfriend at the head of it all, you need to be desperate.
Yeah.
And then we get the robot plot because yes, there is an actual robot in this drama, at least for a little bit. Baekhyun, a scientist who happens to be an ex-boyfriend of Jia's, has created Aji-3. A very intelligent human-looking robot. The human model, Jia. Although she doesn't know it yet. And can we just say, because you didn't put it in the notes here, that Jia, the Aji-3, I will never be over all of her mechanics being in her boobs.
They're all there.
They're all in her boobs.
They're all in her torso and her boobs. It's great.
It's amazing. Anyway, Minkyu's company has just bought the company that owns Baekhyun's team, and in turn, Aji-3. Baekhyun believes in his creation and wants to keep it alive, so to speak. So he asks Minkyu to provide more research funds. Baekhyun himself has a very clear GMC. Convince Minkyu to provide research funds so he can move to a better research facility to continue work on Aji-3, who he believes is the future. The conflict is that he needs this funding fast. Minkyu's company plans to sell the technology to Aji-3, and then she could be lost to him forever. Minkyu meets Aji-3, who looks so human. He thinks he's being conned. But when she takes off her dress to reveal a whole torso of machinery, specifically in her boobs, he realizes she's in fact a robot. So he touches his index finger to hers, and she even says like E.T., because it's very much like E.T. and Elliot, and he has no allergic reaction. He's now interested, especially when he finds out that Aji-3 can develop the ability to connect to humans emotionally. She just needs time to get to know them through their facial expressions and other reactions. Baekhyun says that it takes a month, and Minkyu says they only have one day, tomorrow, for 3 hours. Because that's how long Aji-3's battery lasts. When Aji-3 is damaged by one drop of wayward beer from a tossed beer can in the lab, a perfect storm is created to toss our two leads together. Jia can earn 10 million won by pretending to be a robot for 3 hours, and Minkyu gets to have a non-allergy interaction with a human-ish creation for a day. And when Jia arrives at his mansion in her robot box, she is confronted with Minkyu, the man she just yelled at on the phone, whom she has to be alone with for 3 hours. So we have secret identity, forced proximity, fish out of water, ticking time bomb, office politics, family, any other tropes, and any scenes that were especially buttery to you?
Well, one thing I mentioned, I talked about, I feel like I didn't even talk to Megan for that long, but I got out like everything I wanted to say in this text chat about something else that was like off topic. But this isn't butter, but I do want to like when you talked about the drop, as soon as I saw it, I was like, Chekhov's gun. Because early, like, right before that moment, they're like drinking and she's like, what are you doing? Like, if even one teeny drop gets on the robot, everything will be destroyed. And then it's like within a minute and a half, we have like the slow-mo with the one single drop coming down of destruction. And yeah, it just was like a perfect example of what we've talked about in the past of like the Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. Awesome.
You talk about one drop damaging the robot, then that drop is going to damage the robot.
Yeah.
But they don't like
in a second.
Yeah. And they don't like, I actually like that too, because you kind of knew it was coming and then it did. And I do think that scene is really funny too, because it's like one drop in her boobs and then there's like sparks all over the lab.
Yes.
Like
and everybody is like ducking and covering. Like
she just catches on fire essentially.
Yeah. So it's so funny. Because he thinks she has his necklace, he calls her and they fight over the phone. And it's also hilarious because she's literally being wheeled into his house in this box.
It's a crate, like it's a big wooden crate.
Yeah. And she is on the phone with him in the box as he's walking down the stairs to look at the robot. And they're still yelling about the phone. And she cusses him out and his like jaw drops because he's like, you can tell no one's ever talked to me like this. And then the crate opens and she's like, I think she
screams and like stumbles backwards.
Yeah, screams and stumbles back. And that's the end of the episode. So like the cliffhanger also is insane. Like, even though the audience knows what's going to happen, but but that's great, but we want to know how it plays out. So that's why it's such a good cliffhanger, because now we want to know how they're going to deal with these reactions with each other.
Well, what I think is awesome about it, and what I think is like the good sort of butter, like on the tropes here, is that, they have this whole phone interaction going on, and she doesn't know that she's talking to, the man who's about to test out the robot. And we have seen her before this practicing to be Aji 3, right? How does a robot put a glass of water down? Like, how does a robot talk? Like, what are a robot's mannerisms? And she's been doing all this practice. And then as soon as he opens the crate, she has the most human interaction or human reaction you could ever have. Mm-hmm. And what a great way to end it, because we have just upped the stakes, right? Because how is she going to play off what she just did when she was supposed to act like a robot? And I love that. Like, how do you not want to go and watch episode 2 after that?
Right? I actually did. I didn't have time, but because I like watched it and then I had to go to bed. I was like, oh my God, I want to keep watching it so bad. I might have to like squeeze it in around my other things. Or the thing is, I don't even need to like be watching. I can just put it on the background. Yeah, I know what happens.
Right. You know what happens. And so you can actually like do other things while you're watching.
I don't need all the dialogue. It's fine. I did forget about how they teach her how to walk like a robot. Like I did miss that. Or I didn't remember. I'm sorry. So it was kind of fun to remember to go back and watch that part. And they give her these like contacts so she can essentially access Aji 3's motherboard,
like mainframe.
Yeah. Like hard drive. I don't know. So she can access all the information. Of course,
I love that Aji 3's like boobs went up in sparks, but like her computer still works.
Her boobs went up. It's so it's all in her torso, and that's the thing. When he first meets Aji 3, thinks he's being conned, but when she takes off her dress, you can literally see that her chest is a cavity full of like gears and shit. You know what I mean? So like he can see visually that's not a human being, because that's where the ribcage would be. So in Jennifer Hill's article, again, that I referred to at the beginning, she explains how the author of Fourth Wing packed the deck with escalating conflict. It was really kind of interesting. I'm going to actually say what she says because
it was really good. I liked it.
Yeah. So first she says the protagonist boss is skeptical she can complete the challenge ahead. It's a good conflict. But what if the protagonist boss was also a decorated military general with an impressive war record who happens to be the protagonist's mother? Better. How about the protagonist boss, a decorated military general with an impressive war record who happens to be her mother and has already lost her son in battle? Best. And so she says, you see how that conflict increased? I tried to do that with I'm Not a Robot. I'm not sure if I pulled it off. So you guys can let me know.
I think you did.
Okay. So the hero has an allergic reaction to human touch. Good. I mean, good conflict, even if it's not a romance. What if that allergy has forced him to rely on technology and sheltered him from human interactions? Better. What if he is promised human-like interaction that he so desperately craves in the form of a robot, and then said robot is actually a human pretending? Best. Feel like that, I think I pulled it off.
I like it.
So all three of us have watched I Am Not a Robot and know how it ends, but try to pretend for a minute that you don't. So what are some questions you find yourself wanting to know at the end of episode 1? Like, what were you most intrigued about, or you know what I mean? Because even if you know how it ends, you're like left with some, I think, reactions.
Well, I mean, my first thought is if she pulls it off, which I'm going to, because there's 11 more episodes, I'm going to guess that she does pull off her reaction. Then for the next 3 hours, how does she keep from sweating if she's nervous? What if her stomach rumbles? What if she has to pee? Right. What if Kim Min-kyu touches who he thinks is Aji 3 and he dies? What if he doesn't? So many things.
I love that. What if he touches her and he has a reaction, but what if he doesn't?
Right. What if the room, like, there's all the little robots? What if they sniff her out?
What if the room is like, she's not one of us?
An imposter.
Yeah, I think it's just the setup is really neat and compact. Everyone's really likable, and you're just like, let's go. Let's see what happens. And there's enough uncertainty with the questions that you all posed just now that I think you are interested to see how like the ruse goes. But a virgin with a touch phobia who's a billionaire, I'm sorry. Like,
Leah, didn't you write a book with a virgin who had a touch phobia and was a billionaire?
I certainly did. And here's something else about that is I wrote it in a weekend. It's a novella. I got the rights back to it, so it's actually not able to be bought at the moment. But one of my goals for the next 6 months is to tweak it a little bit and then get it back out there. I will not make her a robot in this. I'm going to keep it mostly as is. But I have had a long-standing love of virgin hero touch phobia. And then I think in my book, he doesn't have robots that he's connected to. He has what is the world's most expensive fish. He has a pet fish that is the most expensive fish in the world. And he like brings it with him places. And so the heroine who's his personal assistant, like she has to get on a helicopter with him with the fish. Like she has to get the fish and then transport the fish. And it's very stressful.
Like, doesn't she have to put it in a bag?
Yes.
I love it so much. I love it.
And so the drama on that level is just like, look, this is much, much better than that book ended up being. I would like to tweak it to make it better. But yeah, I just have an inherent love of these concepts altogether. They're great.
Kim Min-kyu has fish too. It's got like...
It's true, he does.
His whole like first floor is just full of fish tanks, which I always found interesting.
Because he can't touch their pet.
I want to watch the rest of it. Oh,
I know.
So
I honestly feel like I was like, shit, man, I might just have to do it.
I know.
He is freakishly good looking.
Why,
but like
why
good
do you
looking
think
in a way that's not like inaccessible?
Right. Mm-hmm. But why do you think Megan and I watched Imaginary Cat?
I watched Imaginary Cat just for him. And he looked great in it. Not as good as I Am Not a Robot, but he still looked freaking great in it.
He looked more accessible in Imaginary Cat because he wasn't a chaebol.
Why hasn't he been in more stuff?
I don't get it. I don't.
Please, can we have more?
He's amazing. And his acting, and I will never stop talking about it. This entire thing, I wish I wrote it. Like, it makes me jealous. When I would say envious is a better word. It makes me envious because I'm like, I wish I came up with this idea. And even though it sounds crazy, like I don't like the title, and it's really hard to sell people on it because they're like a human robot sounds dumb, but it's not about that.
Billionaire hero with a touch phobia does not.
I mean, look, Christian Grey is another touch phobia billionaire that people loved. So it's a thing. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you give I Am Not a Robot for GMC setup and trope stacking? Yes, I decided to put a rating system in here just because I want to talk about how great it is again.
I mean, I think we all think it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I feel like this is a masterclass in how to start a story.
Right. So many conflicts that feel insurmountable. You know, they feel impossible.
And as having watched this, right, it holds up for the entirety of the 12 episodes and keeps the conflict going until the end. Like, it keeps the stakes. The stakes are high even when you think they're not going to be anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but once like one conflict is semi-resolved, another one there's obviously going to be several conflicts. Office politics I mentioned as a conflict that ramps up. Like, that starts because so Kim Min-kyu is the chairman, and then he has a little bit of drama with the CEO of his company. And so that kind of is the conflict that starts to take over.
We've got found family. We haven't even talked about that as a
found family.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, because it wasn't in episode 1.
No, it's not in episode 1, but I'm just saying, like, as far as like tropes in this drama go, it is one of the best found families ever.
Absolutely.
Because it's a great ensemble cast. It's not just the romance. It's not just the office politics, but everybody who's part of like the science team. And then along with Gia's best friend, there's just so much fun with all of that.
Yeah, Baekhyun is a really good character. The scientist, you don't realize how good of a character he's going to be. Because one thing that I noticed that I didn't pick up, so they do get into why Gia and Baekhyun broke up. They get into that later in the series. But when she sees him again, when he approaches her to like, you know, this harebrained scheme of pretending to be a robot, she like tells him things and he kind of like ignores her because he wants to like say what he wants to say. And she says to him, "This is always what you do. You only hear what you want to hear and you don't listen to me." And you think, oh, that's like a common, like, okay, whatever. She's kind of like drunk rambling. But when you get to the real reason they broke up, it's exactly that. And they talk about it. And so there's like this foreshadowing there that you don't realize is foreshadowing. And I noticed that when I watched this first episode, and it just made me, as I said, there's like just no wasted scenes. Even if you think it's a throwaway scene, it's not. It matters later for so many reasons. And it's just wild to me.
And we don't have an ex-boyfriend thrown in here for like romantic conflict either. Like, it's an actual really good reconciliation between her and Baekhyun.
Yeah, because they're not the same people they were. Right. It was, I might have even been like 10 years ago. It was a while ago when they broke up, and they're completely different people. And he doesn't really want her back. He clearly still has feelings for her, but I think they're more just like fond feelings, I would say. I don't think he actually wants her back, but I think she meant something to him, and he views her a little bit as like the one that got away.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't know. What are we going to do next? You guys have to pick something now.
I have to think about it. I have to think about it in terms of like, because the other thing is like, do I want to pick one that like feels really good, that like is like this and hits everything? Or do I want to pick one that like, because, we also often in K-dramas talk about like, oh, you kind of got to get through one or two before it gets.
Or sometimes 4 episodes, right?
And so it'd be kind of good to look at one also. I can see the benefit of looking at one where it's like, why, even though this drama is amazing, does the first episode maybe not execute as well as it should?
Yeah, because I will say, like, I wouldn't say like a bad drama. If there's a drama where the first episode is very slow, I'm not saying that's like necessarily a bad thing. Like, there are plenty of dramas where there's a buildup.
I will say, I mean, I don't like to sit through and suffer.
True. You got to hook us right away.
Here's the thing is like, so one I'm considering doing, and I may or may not do it, so I don't want to be held to it, but I'm considering doing the first episode of Hospital Playlist.
Oh, okay.
Which I think it's a train wreck.
Yeah, I felt like it was a mess.
Oh, right. I did strongly dislike that first episode.
And
I didn't know what was going on in the drama.
I was almost ready to be out.
Let's talk about why
another one.
Coffee Prince is another one.
We almost didn't finish it. We almost were like, I think after 2, we were like, I'm out.
We totally can do, like, I mean, we picked this one because it was fun to talk about and we knew that it was going to hit all the points, but I do think it would be a fun exercise to talk about why one first episode is not good. Like, that would be kind of fun to do. And it's not that we're saying the drama isn't good. We're saying the first episode needed to be tighter or something.
Yeah, I think everybody listening can think of a drama right now where you're like, I love the drama, but I had to wait 4 episodes to start loving it.
Yeah. You know what? We should do Vincenzo, and I could talk about why the first episode did not work and why I didn't keep going.
There we go. Controversial.
Yeah, so. I know. All right. Well, we will do more. I hope you liked it.
Yeah, this was fun. I think this should definitely be an ongoing series because I feel like everybody likes when we talk about tropes. And now this is a way to sort of focus that on, not just tropes, but like good story writing.
Yeah. And also it's always fun, and it's very focused on K-dramas. Like, we're not getting, sometimes when we talk about tropes, it's hard not to mention like Western things that we've seen. So this was fun because at least we could focus in on a K-drama. And if you still haven't watched I'm Not a Robot, I don't know what to say. And if you didn't like it, this is the one drama that I don't want to hear it. Like,
we all have that drama. We all have
do
that drama.
not talk to me.
Yeah.
If you come in the Instagram comments hating on,
tell me, because I want to know how you could.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you just don't like Yu Sung-ho. And if so, I still don't want to hear it. I just can't. I can't. That man made me cry so hard.
Oh my God.
A cat.
So good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for listening. This was a lot of fun. So we will do it again. And we will see you next week. And well, happy Halloween, but
it's over.
When you're listening to this, it's over.
Don't forget that Amy and I are doing our big promo that we just came up with.
We'll put in our Instagram today when the show drops when we're gonna be talking tomorrow.
And you better turn in because they both have great books and I want to see you there.
And I gotta go buy some Halloween candy.
And I have to go save my finger from amputation.
Go make your baking soda paste.
Gonna go make my baking soda salve.
Look at us bookending like I Am Not a Robot.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. We will see you next time.
Annyeong.
Kamsahamnida. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!